Alright, time for another DraftPhysics.com video presentation. So we'll call this day 7.5, I guess. um, Waiting. 6.5? You might be up on 6. 6.5. For this simple argument, I mean, it's a clear, obvious problem. Somebody with, like I said, a 10-year-old or, a third grader could figure this out. Fifth grader, whatever 10 years old is, I don't remember. That there's a huge difference between these, what they say and what they say. So they say something and then they say something completely different. So I'm contending that Newton's cradles, I mean, banging elastic objects, it's quite clear the heat, the energy doesn't disappear, the momentum can't be said to disappear into the environment somewhere. The Newton's cradle keeps banging back and forth. Yeah, each time it hits, it loses a little energy. The hitting is expensive. And you can find out that the hitting is expensive because if you use the coupled oscillator with the two pendulums, you can have it oscillate for a very long time, 10 minutes. Where it'll only last, less than a minute if they bang into each other. But anyway, so yeah, it loses a little energy each cycle. But we know it's not, there's not a mystery place where the momentum can go. There's no place for the momentum to go. Once it's in a system, it has to stay in this system. The Newton's cradle, it stays, it's conserved. So if I bang 55 into 45, I'm going to get 100 out. I'm going to get some arrangement of 100. I'm going to get 60-40 or 30-70. I'm going to get something. Depending on the size of the masses, we'll decide which one gets what percentage, but it's going to equal 100. This will be the correct answer. Okay, and this will never be the correct answer. 10. 10 does never happens. Now, they're claiming in this experiment that this exact thing that can't happen does happen. So I put 100 in. The collision creates 200 momentums, and then it collides again, and I'm going to get 100 back. So they create free momentum, extra momentum, and then they destroy it. And there's no explanation where it could possibly be, where this extra momentum came from, and certainly no explanation for how you can make it go away. If these leave with 150 and 50, going into gravity, there's absolutely no doubt that gravity gives you back what you put in. So you're going to get all of it back. You're going to have to explain how 150 collides with 50 and it subtracts, because it can't subtract. Newton's cradle can't subtract momentums. It can't do it. It's impossible. All right? So that's the simple argument. They won't concede the simple truth that yes, this experiment is paradoxical. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit what Newton's cradles do every single other time when you put energy in. When you have two cars coming to crash that have undentable bumpers, they have to bounce. They have to. There's no choice. And this is a 7-day now, almost 7-day controversy. Getting them to just admit the facts. That, yeah, this doesn't fit. This seems quite aberrant. Why in this particular one case does it subtract, and in every other case it doesn't? Every single other case ever filmed, ever, it's just forever. So anyway, so that's what the controversy is about. Not one of these people calling me scientifically challenged can meet the challenge and explain why it's not a paradox. Not one of them. They'll keep claiming, no, you're right, only, 100 in, 100 out. But you're wrong, because, 150 in, 50 in, only 100 out, not 200. I mean, it's just so obvious. 6.5 days of this nonsense, and none of them have enough character, honesty, integrity to admit, yes, that's a good point. That's a problem. We have to have an answer to that, because that doesn't make any sense. You can't have the that Newton's cradle can't be doing something different just because you're watching and you're doing an experiment and you need the formula to be right. It can't know all that it's really important to you that your formula be verified, so it changes the outcome. You know that can't be the truth. You do know that can't be the truth, right? So, the evil and stupid Mindless Marbles has set up one of his little comment pages to so all the poor little people who can't comment on my video can comment on my video. Because that's the only place on the internet. Oh, it's so important. No, it's just nonsense. So, you know, I can make videos whether I'm blocked or not. Somebody blocks me, I can still make videos. It's not a big deal, right? Because I certainly will respond to videos. Now, I won't respond to videos by people who endorse doxing. Okay, that's the rule. I'm just not going to do it. So if they don't have any standards about the conduct of people in their comment sections, yeah, I'm not going to respond. And frankly, there's a certain limit. If you're going to let people talk about things that have nothing to do with the subject, I mean, absolutely not even physics, in your comment section, well, then I'm going to call horseshit. Because I don't have to waste my time defending myself against lies all day long. I mean, I'm obligated to spend an hour, but I'm not supposed to spend my whole life undoing other people's lies. That's called a waste of my time, and that's exactly what trolls like White Henry want to accomplish. Their only purpose is to waste my time. Okay, so I'll just read this crap from Mindless Marbles. Just wanted to highlight this, so I guess it's a time code from when I blocked White Henry, who was previously blocked. He asked to be unblocked. I unblocked him, clearly with the warning, please, be on the subject. And he just couldn't manage to respond to a single fucking thing I said. He just ignores everything I counter-argue with and just keeps making the same argument over and over and over. I mean, it's a waste of time. All right. White Henry has done no trolling. Well, you don't understand what trolling is. Trolling is when somebody shows up just to fuck the game. All right? Trolling is like throwing tubes of crazy glue on the football field or something. Trolling is people who just want to ruin somebody else's party because they can't have a party themselves. Trolling is they want to interrupt people having sex because they can't have sex. They want to do whatever they can to stop other people from doing anything constructive because they don't know what that is. And they find it offensive that somebody might be doing something constructive in the world. All right, has been the most resolute person, whatever that even means, of all. Resolute in what? Resolute in ignoring every single argument made. He has countered none of the specific arguments, ever. Okay? There was no reason to block him, except that he's never on the subject. Okay, so this reveals the utter hypocrisy. So my hypocrisy is I unblocked him, gave him another chance, and he went right back to the same bullshit. Undo my lie, undo my lie, undo my lie, undo my misparaphrase, undo my distortion, undo me saying the same crap I've already debunked. All right, to DraftScience. You have vigorously said that anyone who thinks you should be blocked on Physics Michael's channel wants to shut down speech or dialogue. Where did I say that? I don't really understand. There's a whole bunch of people who want to prevent physicists from being accountable. That's what I've said. So they've gotten in the way before, right? I mean, we had a debate scheduled with that Baldy Cats guy. They got in the way. So this is the whole tactic. They want to stop this conversation from happening. Now, I said right to Physics Michael on his channel, I said you could block me, but I don't ask any impolite things. I ask straight up questions, and I don't speculate about something else. I just ask questions. So if you think my comments are offensive because I ask questions, well, then go ahead and block me. Because you don't like my videos. Block me because you don't like my videos. I don't care. Okay, so I'm not complaining. You'll never find me complaining about being blocked, ever. 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 It's on them. I'm just saying. Okay. So, yes, you're holding me to the same standard, saying it's on me. Well, that's why I do most of it publicly. I mean, with the people that are obviously so bad that, I don't really have to defend myself. But otherwise, I can make my argument and say, see, this is just a waste of time. See this over and over again. He just wants attention. He doesn't want to make an argument. Okay. Yet you do the exact same thing on your channel. So it's just a lie that I care whether I'm blocked. You'll never find me whining about ever being blocked on somebody else's channel. Ever. Ever. Okay, because it just doesn't happen. Okay, one less asshole to be subscribed to, frankly. I just can't see how it could possibly hurt me to be blocked on somebody else's channel. How's it hurt me? How does it stop me from making videos? Oh, that's right, it doesn't. All right. I mean, if people are actually responsive, that is, if I asked questions on Physics Michael's board and he actually answered them without preposterous evasion, then maybe I'd care a little bit. Because it'd be disappointing I couldn't ask questions. But so far, he hasn't answered any of the questions I've asked. I mean, remember what he said about the Deschardelet clay thing? I mean, I asked him to, hey, what's your take on denting clay with round things? And he basically said, who cares? All right. If you claim that this is because White Henry is wasting your time, yes, exactly. Oh, and not advancing any argument. Well, I don't know what he's advancing. I don't know what he's attempting to do. I mean, just keep saying the same shit over and over again when I've already debunked it. Seems to me, yes, that's the definition of a waste of my time. Then the same could be said of you. How so? I've made 5-minute videos and pleaded with people to play them and respond to them. So how is that exactly the same thing? Has White Henry proposed some theory and then asked me politely to respond to it? No. All he's done is antagonize me with technicalities and bullshit. You didn't say square. You're not 10 meters. You didn't, some sort of crap that couldn't possibly mean anything to somebody who gives a shit about these subjects. Okay. You logically speaking. Any logic you consider here and be applied right back to you. So again, you'll not find any quote from me where I whined about being blocked. So fine. Okay, I'm sorry, DraftScience, that's not how logic works. Well, I'm sorry, mindless. Okay, it does work this way. I think I can perfectly justify why I block people. Because it's a waste of my time, first off, to respond to their comments. And we know if I post a video link responding to them, people aren't likely to play it. So I'm basically obligated to waste my time undoing their lies in a comment section. And I'm just telling you plainly, no, I'm not stupid enough to fall for that. Because you're really just going to waste your life explaining how I don't beat my wife. I don't even have a wife, shithead. I don't have an obligation to do that. Okay. It doesn't depend on who it is applied to as much as you wish it did. So whatever. Your little poetries, your little speeches. Fuck you. So let's see what White Henry says. I think his problem with me is that I constantly present the accepted physics. You constantly do not respond to the actual arguments that have been made countering something that took place. I've pointed out here there's a paradox. These results are inconsistent with every single example of how a Newton's cradle works. Every single one of them. There's a problem, and you're all pretending it doesn't exist. All right. Accepted physics, and it contradicts his understanding of how things are. No, you don't respond to the actual arguments I've actually made. I point out that 4 times the rolling distance isn't 4 times the vibration into the ground. That when something's going twice as fast, it actually doesn't do 4 times the work, and you have 0 evidence that it ever did. 0. Now, you don't counter that with some counter argument. You don't even acknowledge the statement being made. Okay. That's not my fault. Reality contradicts his understanding of how things are. I'm just siding with reality rather than his delusions. So again, I don't have to accept that rhetoric either. Just as an aside, I've never made a rude comment on somebody else's video. Never. Just doesn't happen. I don't call somebody an asshole in a comment section. I don't say anything in a comment section. I'm polite in a comment section. I know that's my obligation. Get to the point. Make your point as concise as possible. That's what's fair to the readers. Be on the subject. Okay. His accusation that I'm lying. Yeah, well, frankly, you want to go through your whole history of comments, I'm sure we'll find some lies in there. Okay, or that I don't care about the truth or nonsense. No, you don't care that you've been defeated in the argument. And you just keep making the same argument. Jesus lives, Jesus lives, Jesus lives. And I keep pointing out, no, I don't think he does, okay? I don't have any evidence that he lives. Okay, where's his footprints? Okay, I care about knowing the truth. And the statements I make are true to the best of my knowledge. So again, more horseshit. So there's a couple of his comments here. So that's the other thing he does. He types more than one comment. You know, I am, of course, open to the possibility that I may be wrong and would love to hear some evidence. So I have presented 5-minute videos directly to the point of these evidence issues. 12 of them, well, 13 maybe. And have you responded to any of those videos at all? I mean, have you made a rational, cogent, on the subject response to any of those arguments? No. That would show me how or where I am wrong. But the constant stream of baseless assertions. So what's the baseless assertion? See, I don't have to respond to these accusations. I don't make baseless assertions. So that's just a lie. So you say you don't lie, but that's a lie. I mean, every argument I make, I sit there and go to the trouble to draw it. I explain why I'm making the assertion. I explain why I'm saying it's not right. I go to the great deal of trouble to try to explain it as clearly as possible why I have a problem with this thing that you're saying. Never baseless. They're just never baseless. Straw man arguments. What's a straw man? Where's the straw man? Where have I created some fake thing and knocked it down? Where? I mean, what, you're saying like it's a straw man if I say an 8-pound bowling ball going twice the speed doesn't knock down twice as many pins? That's a straw man? No, I think it's a pretty good analogy, actually. So what, you think the straw man is that that's not what you're saying? You're not saying it knocks down twice as many pins because, like, relativity happens and, you know, yeah, some kind of relativity thing happens and the ball and the pins are moving in frames and, you know, it gets all messed up and so it doesn't knock down more pins? And what? Right here, I can't, in 7 days, I can't get you fuckers to admit that, all right, Newton's cradles really don't subtract momenta. You can't do subtracting momenta with a Newton's cradle. I can't even get you to admit that. All right. Straw man and invective. So the fact is you've all endorsed invective. Okay. So, and you know, and so if you want to have an invective competition, you're going to lose. Okay. All of these, this is invective. What you just said here, calling me invective is invective. You know, so you're going to lose that argument. That makes up the majority of any DS video. So right there, isn't that a lie? I think even Mindless Marbles would have to concede that no, the majority of DS videos are him drawing and explaining physics concepts. Drawing arrows, drawing the mechanics of it, explaining how it goes. I mean, so again, what's your credibility as an honest person? You've just characterized my videos as being mostly vindictive, vitriol. When clearly, the vast majority, 90% of the video content I produce, especially when I'm not responding to comments, is on the subject and about physics. So you're just such a liar. And of course, I've made the 5-minute videos that don't have any of this invective stuff in them. Those videos are to the point, as quickly as I can get to the point, with nothing extra. Now, I might say Leibniz was a kook, but, you know, beyond that, very tame. So this is what? Do you think this is an honest statement defining my video productions over the last 2 years? See? See how you're just proving my point? Because no reasonable person who's watched my videos could say, yeah, that's an honest lawyer. He just made an honest statement. It's not an honest statement. All right. And see, I had to defend myself against it again, right? See, I had to waste a whole bunch of time explaining how, oh, come on, be fair. My videos are goddamn physics videos, for fuck's sake. You know, hours and hours of me drawing arrows and things moving and banging and doing things. Come on. You can't be this unfair. All right. Far from being evidence of anything much other than his own mental state. So again, that's not garbage shit talk by you. Yes, of course it is. All right. So mindless, you lose. All right. So maybe we'll do this one first because this is so stupid. See, I mean, this is the part where you people have to concede that obviously these retards don't even pay attention to the subjects. They don't even understand what they're talking about. I have already explained to this Michael Falwell loser lunatic, okay, that I'm not saying it's twice the weight. I'm not the only person saying that. Ian Gosling says that and says he's proven it's twice the weight. You know, twice the velocity is twice the weight. And he's claiming that twice the weight is 4 times the energy. You dumb fuck. I mean, he does it again. In spite of me explaining this to him before, he's doing it, saying exactly the same thing. So again, he says, again he asserts that falling twice the velocity is twice the time results in twice the weight. Question mark. Why is there a question mark? See, he doesn't even understand the difference between a statement and a question. You might want to put an exclamation point, but a question mark? Again, he asserts. He claims this, but provides no proof. Well, yeah, no, the proof is I've done the experiment. I'm just claiming from my own experience. That's exactly how it works. And Ian Gosling got exactly the same results when he did the experiment. To support that claim, just asserts it. How the Earth did he arrive at this conclusion? Well, how could you arrive at an opposite conclusion? Shouldn't that give you some evidence of the problem here? You can't provide any counter evidence for something as simple as, what do you mean, my science has never even weighed shit? You mean they never dropped something from 4 times the height and saw how much it weighed on a scale? You know how much it deflected a scale? They never even did that experiment? And that's the physics you trust. The one that hasn't done the simplest, most obvious kind of experiments. They never turned the scale sideways and then said, how much velocity does it take to make it weigh its mass? You've never even thought of doing it, right? You never even occurred to you that, hey, that might be informative. Let's see how much velocity you have to put into something to weigh your mass. Wouldn't that be cool to know? Have you thought of it? Did you think of it? Has science done it? No. That's why your science is so fail. You have 0 evidence. Oh, amazing. Which he seems to firmly believe and states with no evidence. Again, you're the one stating things with no evidence. Amazing. Where's your showing me the 9 times the fuel to go 3 times as fast? Where's your video of that? To suggest that is the case. So instead of countering my theory, okay, with a reasonably evidenced counter theory, you're just saying, well, you have to prove your theory. I don't have to prove mine. No, 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 no. I mean, it's pathetic. All right. Without doing the experiment myself, I would expect the following. So let's see how see how close he is to the truth. If you fall for twice the time and gain twice the velocity, you need to fall 4 times the distance. You need to? No, you mean you will have to. You don't have a choice. That means you collect 4 times the kinetic energy, says you. All right, since you exchange potential energy for kinetic energy, whatever this bullshit is, it's 2 units of gravity. Clearly, they keep saying it. 2 units of gravity is 4 units of energy. That's their theory. They're saying that's how it works. 2 units of gravity, 4 units of energy. 1 plus 1 equals 4. Also, because the work done on the falling object is the product of the force and the distance, so again, it's not force and distance. So again, it's just more nonsense. I mean, it's plainly force and time. Okay, gravity is a time-dependent force, so I'm sorry, you're just wrong. Okay, the distance is a dodge. You're not going to get the right answer. Let's see. The force is constant, so 4 times the distance is 4 times the energy. So did he say anything about weight here in the first paragraph? How much does something weigh that's going twice as fast? Does it weigh 4 times as much? Is that what he's going to say? Is he going to say something that stupid? Okay, let's see. I think DS defines weight as the maximum instantaneous measurement. Yes, duh. It's how far does the scale read. That would be your weight. Okay, it's not a constant force, so it's not going to keep pushing your weight at a point. So you're just measuring how much weight is due to your acceleration, your movement, your velocity. That's what we're trying to determine. So yes, you can only do it instantaneously because the scale will absorb all of your energy and then throw you back in the opposite direction. Of course, unless you let the scale move. Yeah, right. So we're right back to, oh yeah, well if the scale doesn't move, then twice the energy goes into the scale and the Earth moves. Yeah, sure it does. All right, measurement on the scale when the thing hits it. Yes, duh. Da 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 da. Okay, at the point of maximum measurement. Da 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 da. I mean, these experiments have been like that Ian Gosling character did like 10 videos measuring this kind of stuff. I mean, duh. All right, anyway. The falling object has stopped and it's about to bounce back up. Let's see. All the KE in the falling object has been transferred to the spring in the scale. Yeah, the momentum likewise. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. KE is made out of momentum. Momentum's right in the middle of the KE formula. But they're afraid to say momentum is in the spring. Yeah, the momentum's in there too. Oh, they're just so hilarious. God, you people are just so clueless and fucked in the head. You're just so fucking stupid. Okay, we know that the potential energy in a spring is proportional to the square of the spring's displacement. That's if it's kinetic energy, yes. But if you're not doing kinetic energy, if you're using momentum, then it's not. And so the 4x KE has become 4x spring PE and shows up as 2x spring compression. So it's 2x scale reading. So there, he's, instead of just saying to Michael, well, yeah, Gary's right, it weighs twice as much. 4 times the height, it weighs twice as much. Now, obviously, I'm going to say it's ridiculous that weighing twice the much is 4 times the energy. It's an absolutely ridiculous statement because I can do 2 times the work to get 4 times the energy then. Because it only takes 2 times the work to create twice the weight. Twice the weight is just 2 things. Man, you people are so dumb. In short, he's right, but because he makes 2 errors and cancels each other out. Yeah, sorry, it's exactly the other way around, stupid. You just made 2 errors. All right, he doesn't know that falling twice the time. No, that's the part I understand completely. Twice the time I understand. 4 times the force, that's the part that's bullshit. 2 units of time means 2 units of force. Newton was right, and I'm right, and you're an asshole. Asshole Leibnizian. You're a fucking idiotic Leibnizian. All right, time gives you 4x the energy. He thinks it's 2x the momentum. Yes, i.e. energy. He doesn't know that 4x the energy gives you 2x the spring compression. Yeah, I know that that's not how it works. That's right. I know. I'm quite confident that's not how it works. Okay, he thinks it gives 4x the compression. Yeah, 4x the energy, 4x the momentum means you're going 4 times the velocity, so you will compress the spring 4 times as much. Yep, Hooke's law works. In this case, 2 wrongs do make a right. Well, whatever. So let's see what Michael says. Thanks for the reply, Chris. I guess he said it to me 4 times now, and I keep doing this, so maybe I should stop being an asshole. I agree with both of his misunderstandings regarding 4x the energy falling 4 times the distance. It's only 2x the spring compression for 4 times the energy. Whatever all that dribble means. 2 units of time. Now it's a 9.8 meter per 1 second force. You have 2 units of time. That's 2 seconds. You're saying you got 4 units of force. Absolutely silly logic. It's hard to know what any of his definitions are. So again, what a liar. Again, I've spelled it all out. Every bit of it, for fuck's sake. Or as he is generally quite vague. What the fuck? I mean, people are just such liars. So why should I respond to people saying crap like this? When I am the most least vague, I have left the least unexplained person on the internet, for fuck's sake. None of you assholes explain your theories. You don't draw anything. You don't explain a fucking thing. And goalposts are shifted easily when he realized he is stumped. So again, see, that's a lie. Now I have to undo this lie. I'm obligated to show up here and undo this liar. Pathetic. I did a demo drop test on a spring using a 1-to-4 mass ratio. The 4 mass from 1x to blah blah. So he's going to go through this whole bullshit. Okay? And he's the one who doesn't know 4 times the distance is twice the weight. So he's expert on dropping weights on springs, and he doesn't even know 4 times the distance is twice the weight, twice the spring compression. Amazing. All right, well, anyway, let's see what it says. Which showed momentum and kinetic energy are not the same thing. So who said they were the same thing, you stupid fuck? Obviously, mv as a formula and 1/2 mv squared are not the same thing. And it debunked his gravity being a time-dependent force, too. So it didn't debunk anything. So more just horse shit. Okay. He did vaguely respond to the evidence, but as always, it was hand-waved away as it didn't match his intuition. No, you didn't do the experiment very well, frankly. Okay. I mean, the fucking images of the spring, the frame rate was insanely bad. The images were so fucking distorted. And I pointed out that, and they weren't even the same size again. You know, the resolution was different, you know. So, you know, it's just a horseshit, which nature could not give a flying fuck about. So again, they think they're defending nature and the truth. And it's such a lie. Let's see, agreed with both his misunderstandings. So they just keep saying this horseshit. That's pretty unclear. Let's see, regarding 4 times the energy falling 4 times the distance is only 2x spring compression and 4 times the energy. He says that's pretty unclear. What does it mean to agree with a misunderstanding? Are you agreeing that he misunderstands? Or oh, he can't even figure out he's really trying to agree with you, retard. Oh, amazing. Amazing. He started the thread saying I'm trying to say I'm wrong. Clearly. Oh, damn it. You also misunderstand, question mark. I guess it's the former, but it's unclear. So now they'll argue about semantics. Mindless Marbles chimes in. I did the math on this about a month ago. I have another post saying the following. So he's going to prove that 4 times isn't twice the, twice the velocity isn't twice the weight. Now it's interesting to consider what happens when we try to do this with a spring oriented vertically. If you have a static situation, then we ought to solve for F spring gravity. Yes, you have to take out the weight of the object, as I've pointed out numerous times. So, whatever weight you get, you have to take the weight of the actual object out to get the actual velocity number. But we're just saying, for the sake of a simple measurement, in gravity, yes, you're measuring two things, one height and two heights, so both of them already have the weight of the object in them. So because you're measuring something that both have the same weight problem, okay, you can eliminate that variable because they both have it. So what you're really just doing is making a comparison between them because they both have the same defect. So you don't have to subtract the defect when you're making a comparison between 1 unit of distance and 4 units of distance. When you're making that comparison, the weight of the object, as long as they're the same weight, won't matter. All right, so we're not going to go into all that minutiae again. It's already been discussed. Let's see. What if the object is dropped? There will be momentarily a maximum depression goes beyond z mk to solve blah blah blah. So let's just solve this, see if we can get to an actual point. Setting these equals solves for z and applying the quadratic formula, so it has a bunch of squares in it, so obviously just KE math. After the object reaches its depression level, it will rebound up and oscillate. No, it won't. Okay, as you expect with a spring, until friction dissipates the energy and the object settles at blah 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 blah. So, I mean, yes, it'll oscillate in the sense that you can drop magnets on top of magnets, and they can bounce for a bit. But they don't bounce as well as you would think, right? They don't bounce for as long as you would think they should. So obviously they are dissipating a lot of energy somewhere else. The formula only applies to ideal cases where no energy is lost to inefficiencies upon contact. Exactly. So not very useful. So he didn't say anything there, right? Yeah, I don't think he said which side he falls on. We really ought to include the gravitational potential energy lost in compressing the spring as well. So that absolutely makes 0 sense. That's what weight is. Detecting a weight is taking the thing's energy and putting it in a spring. That's exactly what springs do. They absorb the energy. They take it away from the object, and then they have it. And then if you can put a lock on it, and then you can store it there. Or you can unlock it and just let it go back out again. Did you ever do any analysis of DS claims that when you run into a sidewalk scale at 1 mile per hour, you weigh your weight? Well, you weigh your mass, is what I'm saying. So whatever your mass is, 100 pounds, then yes, you weigh your mass. Okay. At any time I've looked at it, I found that the speed needed to weigh your weight depends on the spring constant. The spring constant only changes the scale of your scale. So as long as your scale is calibrated already, the spring constant isn't there anymore. I mean, you only need the spring constant if you don't have a scale. I talked about taking a scale and putting it sideways. So the spring constant is already in the little marks on the scale. It's already built in. You don't have to do that. It'll tell you the weight. Okay, you don't need to do the how many inches did the spring move times the constant, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do any of that crap. It's already been calibrated. And isn't a weird constant like 1 mile per hour? Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. It came out that way. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. But DS is pretty insistent that 1 mile an hour is the number. I'm pretty insistent that 1 centimeter is the 4 times the height number. You want to double your weight. You lift yourself 1 centimeter off the ground, and you will hit the scale with twice your weight. All right. And 1 centimeter at a gravitational acceleration just happens to be 1 mile an hour. Just happens to be. The first centimeter you fall is 1 mile an hour. Okay, we really ought to include the gravitational potential energy lost in the compression of the spring as well. I'm pretty sure I did. I had E equals 1/2 squared crap, blah, blah, blah. For all sideways motion, you can adapt any equation by setting g to 0. So again, g isn't 0. Your velocity is going to be g. You idiot. God, you're so fucking stupid. Oh, anyway. I'm sorry, I didn't read carefully enough. I agree with z equals v squared mk, whatever, for running into scale sideways. Well, then what's your answer? And we'll see how far off it is. Also, z equals mgk. See, they're sitting here using a spring instead of a scale. Just use a scale. Oh. That's how fast you have to run into a scale to weigh your weight. So he's got a formula for it, but he hasn't got an answer. It is absolutely not a universal constant. Yeah, it absolutely is. Use the same spring constant and everything you bang into it will go 1 mile an hour and weigh its mass. So again, you're just showing you're an idiot. Okay, but depends on your mass. Well, then you've made a mistake. Yeah, because it's already built in. Your weight goes up as your mass increases. 1 mile an hour moving a bunch of atoms is going to weigh more than 1 mile an hour moving one atom. You can't figure that out? It's going to deflect the scale more. The scale is interested in your momentum. The scale is measuring your momentum. And you're not smart enough to know that because you're a jerk and an idiot. All right. Take a pause. All right. We're back. So, White Henry's 3 comments. Let's see what we got here. Nobody thinks that the balls just stop. Do they move with 10? You know, what's your statement, right? Okay, yeah, I didn't have the video on. Do they move with 10 or 100? Those are your two choices. It either subtracts or it doesn't subtract. If it doesn't subtract, which is obviously it doesn't, especially in the 50-50 case, it certainly didn't subtract. So then there's something wrong with this experiment because it subtracts here. The guy Huleska says he's done at perfect frame rates and it's clear there's 150 leaving and there's 50 going back. Those are his momentum numbers. Well, how come only 100 comes back out? Where's the other 100? So, of course, you're not on the subject, right? I mean, are you on the subject? This comment was made 1 day ago. I've been saying this for 5 days before that. Are you on the subject? No. Just, let's see. I guess I could turn this on. But who cares, really? When you collide two balls with the same but opposite momenta into each other, what happens is that the velocity of both balls is negated. So what's the point of saying the velocity is negated? What's the point of saying that? Negating the velocity would mean there's no velocity. That nothing leaves. I mean, you can't, you know. You see, this is how he's a waste of time. He just said something so fucking stupid. He can't even answer something this stupid. The velocity of both balls is negated. What do you mean negated? If it bounces back, the velocity obviously is negated. You have 50 and you have 50 going in. You get 50 and you get 50 going out. So amazing. Just fucking amazing. And when you have 150 in and 50 going in, you only get 50 and 50, right? You only get 100 out. Those two things are direct contradictory statements. Oh, man, you people are just so fucking stupid. Yeah, I just can't believe you. This is honest stupidity, right? This can't be honest stupidity, can it? No, come on. Nobody's this dumb, honestly. All right. No matter what the masses of the balls are, that's what happened. So again, it's not what happened in the experiment. Idiot. All right. So here he just keeps doing the same shit. So 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. Yeah, that has nothing to do with the experiment. It's not consistent with what the experiment did. This experiment canceled. Okay? The experiment said 150 this way minus 50 this way. Oh, Jesus. All right. I don't even know if this is worth reading. All right, so where 1m and m2 are the masses and u are the velocities before the collision and blah, 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 after the collision. So again, just totally ignores, right, that the point is when the collision takes place, both objects go up into gravity and they're going to come back and hit again. And now they're going to hit with 150 and 50. I put 100 in, just 100. They go out with 150 and 50. They collide back together again and only 100 comes out. That's not what Newton's cradles do. All right. To check this, we only need to confirm that both momentum and KE are confirmed. So again, they're just ignoring the physical facts and pretending that Newton's cradles do both things whenever they feel like it. It's a simple enough question. Can Newton's cradles do subtraction math? It's a yes or no question. If you say no, which is the right answer, then this experiment has to have a defect in it somewhere. Look at all this crap he wrote. The sum of the momenta both before and after the collision is 0. So again, he's just ignoring what total net means. Those words don't mean anything to these people. There's no way to point out to them. We're talking about the total amount of movement. Masses moving. That's what total means. The total masses moving before and after is not the same. That's your problem here. Well, during. So the total masses moving going in is different than the total masses moving during. And then in another stage, it's back to being the same again. And then it's free energy again. And then it's back to the same. And then it's free energy again. That's the part that Newton's cradles don't do. They don't create free momentum and they don't destroy free momentum. Oh, I can't believe you have to go through all this crap with these morons. Oh, it's just I need another break. Too stupid. Oh, there really is no way to get through to these people. I mean, I've explained it so many ways. So let's just try one more thing. Simple experiment. So forget about the experiment that was done. I got a Newton's cradle, and I decide to give this 150 momentum. That is, it's a 3 mass, and I'm going to make it move a velocity. And then this is a 1 mass. I'm going to make it move the same velocity. So I have 150 momentum coming in, and I have 50 momentum coming in from the other side. What do you predict will happen? Yeah, that's simple enough. What's your prediction? 150 is coming in from this side, 50 is coming in from this side. I mean, it's just like this one over here. So are you predicting 10 as the answer here? Is that what you're saying, that 55 and 45 is 10? And only one leaves with 10? Or they both go 5? Or do you know the answer is no, it's 100. The total motion will be 100 in momentum. And that the total here will have to be 200. If I do this physical experiment, you know it has to be 200, right? 150 plus 50, 200. Right? So again, all this word crap, he won't answer the simple question, can a Newton cradle do subtraction math? That's all. Does it ever subtract momenta? So anyway, the sum of the zero. That's the definition of, that's what the definition of momentum says. That's a lie. It's not what Newton said. Certainly not what I've said. Okay, that's what Professor Lewin is saying when he says that nature can't finagle momentum. Well, says you, that's what he's saying. I think what he's clearly saying is nature can. You know, kinetic energy is fucked up, but momentum, you can count on it. It's solid. He's talking about an experiment where there is zero movement. So no, he's not. He's talking about an experiment where whatever comes in comes back out. That's what he's talking about. What goes in comes out. Now later on in the same lecture, I'll have to concede he does the free momentum experiment because he's not counting what goes in and what comes out. All right. So when he's not looking, it's okay for nature to finagle momentum. As long as he doesn't see it, it's okay for nature to do it, which is hilarious. All right. Before he burns the string, and therefore zero total momentum after the carts start moving. But you know that's not the truth, right? We know that if I wanted to compress that spring, I'd have to put moving carts in to compress it. So we know there was force in the spring. And we certainly know after he cuts it that both carts have force in them. So it's just baby talk to talk about this zero crap. It's just such a lie. It's such a perversion of the truth. I don't know how you get away with this cartoony, rug-ratty way of looking at the universe. I mean, it's such a bad drawing of reality to pretend it's zero momentum, especially when it can poke your eye out. That is the momentum that nature cannot finagle. Oh, it's just so pathetic. All right, anyway, there's no way it can change the total momentum of the system from zero unless there's an external force. So again, it's just baby talk. That's all this is. It's a baby talk. All right. DS confusion here is that in one example, I mean, I have no confusion, so I'm asking you to predict. 150 is going this way, 50 is going this way. What comes out? You lying sack of shit. Just answer the question, liar. Can you do that? Can you just answer a question for a change? A challenge? I'm challenging you. What's the answer? 100 or 200? Those are your two choices. Liar. I mean, you're just such a liar that you don't get this. Oh, fuck you, you don't. This is why he's a waste of time. All right. The one mass and the three mass hitting each other with the same velocity. One of the balls stops and the other one gets the sum of the momentum. So he's doing it. 50 minus 50. 150 minus 50. So he just did it. He's saying Newton's cradles do subtraction mass. So if I do this experiment, he's predicting 100 comes out. And if I do this experiment, 55 and 45, he's predicting that 10 comes out. If I do the experiment 49 and 50, he's predicting 1 comes out. One little momenta. So I crash in at 49, I crash in at 50, and I get 1. That's his fucking scientific prediction. And, yeah, too silly. All right, and so DS incorrectly generalizes to say we, therefore, think one ball will always stop. I didn't care about which ones stop. I've made that clear in every one of these drawings. Look, I have 2 arrows over here, you fucking liar. See, these are all the lies. I have 2 arrows here. I'm saying, yeah, you could all go to this way, could all go that way, or it goes both ways. I've said that in every one of the videos. It's not an issue. We know that if the mass relationships are of a certain configuration, that all the energy will go off in one ball, and we know if it's other configurations, it's going to be split between the two. So that's not an issue here. That's not the subject. So, and talk about straw man. Way off the subject. Oh, these people are so fucking goddamn despicable. Oh, god damn it. Let's see. That's not what we say at all. It's just another straw man argument. So that's just another overt lie. It's an overt lie. I never said anything about one of them having to stop. It just happens to be in the experiment we're talking about. It just happened to be that the two come in and only one leaves. It happens to be exactly what does happen in that experiment. So he's describing the original experiment a straw man. Accurately describing the original experiment is just straw man. The system doesn't have zero energy, so it's just too silly. And either did Professor Lowen's experiment with the compressed spring. There wasn't zero energy in that system. All right, it has zero momentum. So again, more lies. MV is right in the middle of KE. You can't say something has zero momentum, but has KE. You can't see how that's impossible if momentum is right in the core of the KE. Oh, God. These are very different things. Again, it's made out of momentum. For fuck's sake. The only difference is yours is a fable and momentum is real. That's the only difference. One of them's real and one of them is a silly fable. A little sparkly unicorn fake story of the squared velocity. Woo, 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 woo. All right. Anyway. Let's see. That's a straw man. I don't know what this is. Nobody says the ball stopped dead. So he's repeating the same thing again? Huh? We are talking about an elastic collision. I explicitly keep saying they're hard elastic. So there's no confusion. They do not deform. They do not absorb energy in any other form but motion. They can't hide it as heat or something else. I've made all that clear. See? He just keeps talking as if I haven't already explained that over and over and over again. That means that KE is conserved. I say so. Obviously, KE can't be conserved if the ball stopped moving. That's just too silly. Obviously, they always have to stop moving. They stop moving when they collide. They stop moving when they they lose all their energy to gravity, and then they start rolling the other way. Duh. So what? We know the system doesn't lose any energy. God, these people are such liars. Diaz claims that depending on the mass, it's possible for the split of momentum to be different than 50-50. Yeah, duh. Yeah, duh. I mean, what? You want an example of something going in with like 300 momentum and the other one has 10? Yeah, it won't be even. And the other one's really light? Yeah, it won't be 50-50. That's not true. Okay, so there's no point in arguing with people. Like, you'll have no evidence of that it's always 50-50. It's not always 50-50. If the balls start off with the same momenta in opposite directions, but different masses, okay, they end up with the same momenta in opposite directions no matter what the masses are. So again, it's not as a fact, it's just not practical, right? So the same momenta is the key words here. So we really weren't worrying about same momenta, right? The original experiment, one of them has 150 and one of them has 50. So we're not talking about same momenta. During the elastic collision, there is a force between the two balls, says you. All right, the force is the same on both balls. Again, says you. You have zero evidence of any of this force on things. You don't know what the hell's happening. My argument is it's clearly a pressure wave goes into the metal, and the object either goes with that wave, okay, that boost of energy. The boost of energy goes through. The atoms are all being pushed, and if it's not enough energy to move all the atoms, it reflects back. Okay, the change in momentum is the same in each ball. Well, whatever, this is just useless mush, so I'm not even going to bother. I concede that the balls don't stop, whatever that means. Nobody said they do. The argument is, does any subtraction math happen? If I do this experiment, 150, 50, can I expect by your physics the outcome of a 100? Your physics says it's 100, where every example of a Newton's cradle says, no, it isn't. It doesn't do that. Let's see. Nobody said they do. Well, of course, that's exactly what they are saying. It's an elastic collision. Keep saying the same thing over and over. Where have I disputed it's an elastic? I point out it's hard, undentable, kinetic. KE is conserved, so just nonsense. Of course, they don't stop. So he keeps just evading the subject. 55 against 45. What happens? Just 5 pops out? Just beep. Well, 10. Just a little 10 pops out. 49 against 50. Just 1 pops out. Just beep. 1. So it doesn't 0, but it does do 1. So I can do 49 to 50, and I'll just get 1 little tiny jolt. I mean, you're such liars. That's what your physics predicts. 49, 50, 1. That's all I get. Just 1 little movement. 1 tiny little piece of momentum comes out. That's explicitly what your formula says. Are you denying that's not what your formula says? That's how your formula says the outcome should be. The same math you're using to predict this stupid outcome is exactly the same math that would predict 49 and 50 and say it's 1. Oh, that people are so... You're just so fucking egregiously evil. Let's see. What mistake? It sounds like you don't... He thinks I'm going to go to the video and play all these sound bites. I mean, too ridiculous. If you're going to do comments and you're too feeble and you can't do video, then the least you could fucking goddamn do is quote what you're fucking responding to. It sounds like you don't understand what physics predicts will happen if you think we say the balls will stop. We don't. No, you say they'll go 1. 99 in, 1 out. 200 in, 100 out. That's how it predicts. Newton's cradles can't do it, of course. They'd never do it. But you say they do. When you want them to. Alright. Obviously, this isn't a mistake. You people aren't making mistakes. You're just fucking religious kooks. Okay, I'm not interested in your docs or Michael's docs. I only know what town you live in because in a recent video you told us all that the name... You're not going to write my name down, right? Why are you referencing this? Why would you do that? Physics Michael is profoundly retarded, so I had to explain to him that the stupid poetry has multiple references in it. Why would he even accept a comment by somebody referencing my neighbors and the town we live in? Why would anybody think that's an appropriate piece of thing to think about? Why would that be in a comment he accepted and hearted? So, yeah, I'm glad I have you blocked because you're really a fucking idiot. Why would you bring this up? What are you defending? Let's see. When you find yourself saying 9.8 meters of velocity, you ought to check yourself. Well, when you find yourself saying per second, 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 you ought to check yourself, retard. Because guess what? It's silly. Yeah. It's like really sissy and girly. It's really pathetically stupid. Okay. Meters are a measure of distance, not velocity. So again, it's part of the designation of an increase in velocity. So a lot of times people don't say every detail. Okay. So, it's because people know it's already in units of seconds. I was going 60 down the highway. You've heard people do that, right? Yeah, I did 120. You heard people say that, right? Okay. You gain 9.8 meters per second of velocity every second. So he says it again. So what? What's the every second part needed for? Why is it there? The point is you get 9.8 meters per 1 second. That's all you get. You don't get it per 2 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds. You get it per 1 second. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? I've said this over. How many times have I said 9.8 meters per 1 second? Is he responding at all? No. Per second of velocity per second. See where the per second comes in? No, I don't see it at all. It's just idiotic. It's so faggoty, I wouldn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. The velocity already in meters per second units. Yeah, so why do I already know a meter per second. I already know what that means. You go a meter per second, right? That's what that's saying. 1 meter per 1 second. And then what we're saying is the force of gravity is 9 of those meters per second. I don't need it per second. And then every 1 second you gain another 9.8 of them. Right, but that's not what second squares mean. Second squares doesn't mean, well, how many seconds were you in the gravity? If all you people wanted to say was it's 9.8 meters per second, and you could do it for 4 seconds, it'd be 4 times 9.8 meters per second. I wouldn't have a problem. But what's the square for? All right. Another 9.8 of those meters per second. So it's just, like I said, there's no point. He will not counter argue any of my points. It is 9.8 meters per 1 second. Not arbitrary seconds, not ambiguous seconds, only 1 second. If you're not using 1 second, then it can't be 9.8. It has to be some other number. If you're using something other than 1 second, it has to be a different number. It can't be 9.8 anymore. Respond to that sentence. All right. In the first second, you cover 1/4 of the distance. That's if you're only going 2 seconds. So you didn't say that correctly. And in the second, you cover 3/4 of the distance. Yeah, exactly. The moment, I mean, so how could you be quoting exactly what I said and doing it in some way like he's going to make an argument? The momentum you collect is the same in each second because momentum you collect is the force times the time. The force times, yes, so we're done. The kinetic energy you collect is the same in each meter because the KE you collect is the force times the distance. So again, that's where you're completely wrong, and I've proven it with the rolling argument. You don't put 4 units of energy into the ground. You go 4 times the distance, but you will not vibrate or heat the ground 4 times as much. So again, you have nothing to prove this force times distance crap. Absolutely nothing. It's made up. It's completely wrong. The force I have to apply, the work I have to do to move this, is insanely increased the slower I move it. The slower I move it up, the more calories I burn. That's the fact. It is not the same work no matter how I lift it. That's how dumb you are. That's how dumb your physics is. It says something really stupid. It says me holding this against gravity is doing 0 work. And you know full well it's not doing 0 work. He's basically saying somebody hanging from a pull-up bar is doing 0 work. Just hanging there. You're not doing any work. If you're not doing any work, why can't they hold on for longer than, like, whatever it is, 5 minutes? I mean, you're just such a stupid, moronic, pig piece of shit crap. You're just such a nonsense. All right, confusing momentum and kinetic energy is the problem here. No, you being a Leibnizian is the problem. You being a fable believer in. Okay, the physics is unevidenced nonsense, and you believe it. For no good reason. You really don't have a good reason. You really don't have any good evidence. No one showed you it taking 9 times the fuel to go 3 times as fast. No one has shown you any good evidence. Talking about calculating units of gravity is baby talk. I mean, it's idiotic as a statement, right? I mean, it's clearly in units, 9.8 chunks that happen every 1 second. Clearly, that's what it is. It doesn't mean anything. You collect momentum, so here he is again, at a rate per second. Well, that's exactly what I said, per 1 second. Okay, and you collect kinetic energy at a rate per meter, which is just too silly. You don't collect gravity. So obviously, in the classic example of here's a planet, I'm going to fly by it, I'm going to go with exactly the same distance. His theory is that no matter how fast I go, gravity pushed me the same amount this way, because it's the same distance. All right. So he says they're going to break that. They're going to break that the idea of conservation of energy is the idea that the energy is in something. I don't know what that exactly means, but clearly that's how it works. The wrench, if I throw a wrench into space going that way, and then I throw one going that way, my argument is that the two wrenches are actually physically different. They're protons and electrons are lined up differently. You could see the difference if we had a good enough microscope. All right. And it's moving around you now, switching, bouncing, going around, but it's always in the system. And why are you cutting this all into pieces? Claiming that anytime something stops, it means there's no energy in the system. So the tennis ball bends and we stop. I mean, clearly all of these are closed systems. The coupled oscillator, the Newton's cradle, they're all closed systems essentially. So why is there an argument here? Right there, and there's no energy in the system. I don't know what he's saying. Even though we know the tennis ball has been bent and is going to give the energy back. Yeah, we know that. So that's exactly my argument to you. Why are we talking as if you don't know there's a compressed spring before Lewin burns the string? Why are you pretending you don't know there's a compressed spring there? Of course you do. If somebody lights the fuse on the dynamite, you know it's not no energy is about to happen. No, you know the energy is going to be released. Oh, you people are just impossibly stupid. You're describing conservation of energy. No, I'm describing conservation of momentum. When the tennis ball stops, it is squished up against the wall. It has 0 KE. So again, more baby talk. You can't really say the ball has 0 KE in a way, right? Because the rubber has been moved. It's actually heating. It's doing lots of stuff. So it's pretty active at the moment. The little rubber molecules are pretty active. And positive potential energy. The pressure of in the ball is going to cause it to bounce back and get its KE back. So again, we can just replace the KE with momentum. The argument is that we know it's in the system. You're saying it's not in the system. You're saying it's not a closed system. Of course it is. The energy is always in the system. The system never has 0 energy. But then the ball stops. Oh, I'm not even going to bother reading this. It's just, you're a waste of my time. You've already wasted enough of it. I mean, just look how long it takes to respond to all this fucking mischaracterization and minutia. Minutia about shit you shouldn't have to argue. The fact that a compressed spring is storing something called energy, okay? Whether you want to call it momentum or kinetic energy, who the fuck cares? For the sake of the argument, it's clear it's not 0. It's not 0 anything, okay? It's clearly energy that's in the compressed spring. It's clearly, if I fight against gravity, it takes the energy out of the object that's fighting the gravity. If I push a boat upstream, what's happening to its momentum? It's losing its momentum to the stream. The stream is paying a price. The spring is getting deflected. The rapids are being pushed. There's all kinds of energy the stream is losing because I am pushing against it. I mean, fuck this bullshit. I mean, you can't even do grammar school fucking physics. All right, let's see if just do this last one. You won't end up with twice the kinetic energy. Where would the extra energy come from? There's just no hope. That's exactly what happens in the experiment. What do you mean, where would the extra energy come from? You have twice the momentum. Jesus. Let's see. You will end up with slightly less over time as the system comes to rest. Duh. If the momentum... See, this is the stuff where you just waste everybody's time, right? We're all conceding. There's air resistance. There's some losses, but we're just saying clearly we know those are minor and irrelevant. All right. If momentum was conserved within the pendulum system, then what would you say is valid? What you say is valid. But we have no reason to think it will be. Okay, so he doesn't think for extensively momentum is conserved in a pendulum. He doesn't think it is. So even though the pendulum can oscillate for 10 fucking minutes, he's saying that's not an example of conservation of system momentum. Is there any point in arguing with somebody that's ridiculous? No. So I'll stop doing it. Because it's a waste of fucking time, mindless. Did he respond to anything I have said? No. Did he respond to 9.8 per 1 second as being Newton's formula? No. Does he respond to anything I say? No. Does he waste time? Yes. Successful trolling. Okay, so till the next time and such. So this is the best they could do. They have an obvious paradox, and this is the slop they type.